Tonight, we're going to have a super awesome interview, something that's very different. I'm excited with Ryan Potuck. I've known Ryan a long time, and I don't know much about your story, and it's one of the reasons I'm super excited to get into it, but we've been connected through different circles, and so thanks for coming a long way here. And so start off by just telling me what you do, what got you here, give me the whole detail.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot here, so how do I keep it simple? I mean, we actually connected. I had heard a Bigger Pockets podcast episode about, I think it was multifamily mastery or something like that you were a part of, and we reached out, and you and I stayed in contact pretty early on in my journey. And pretty much what I'm doing overall, I got started into multifamily, started off with a duplex, then I got a triplex, or a duplex, then a 5-unit. Realized real quick I need to do more, and I wanted to get out of my full-time job and all that kind of stuff, and joined a multifamily mastermind, and then that kind of got me into doing bigger stuff. I got into an 8-unit joint venture, and then I recently sold the duplex and the 5-unit to get into the golf course. So I bought a golf course, and we'll get deeper into that, but the golf course is really my true passion, and I had a whole mental framework shift buying this, and I was like, this is where I want to go long term. I want to buy more golf courses and make this into my thing, my brand, for sure.
You just covered so much.
I know. I figured you could just dive on in.
Fast.
I figured you could dive on in.
I want to go all the way back first.
Sure.
So you mentioned the W-2. You mentioned you kind of started, I'm assuming, to get out of that. But like, why real estate? There's obviously all these asset classes. Anything more there? It's
actually funny because just before real estate, I thought day trading stocks was the answer. I got lucky one time, had a big swing, and I'm like, that's it, this is it, I'm gonna dive full on in. Thought I had this gift. I spent about 3 years trying to make that whole thing work. And then just like probably most of us, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad because I heard it online so many times. And that mental framework shift about having assets, not liabilities, having cash flow. And I had family in real estate. I had a cousin who had, I think, 2 duplexes, very long-term hold stuff there. And it's always been around me. And my dad went to trade school. He was a carpenter for like a little bit. So I've always seen like house repairs. I said, this makes a lot more sense. A lot of people who have wealth have real estate. And I said, that's what I want to focus all my energy on, is for the cash flow.
Love it. So what was the first thing you bought? 3-unit, you said, or?
It was a duplex. I bought a duplex. And the funny story with that was I heard so many podcasts. I was probably stuck on podcasts for like a couple of years. And one podcast on Bigger Pockets, I don't mean to be shouting them out, I'm not sponsored by them, but Bigger Pockets, there was an episode where the guy's like, the best thing to do is just dive on in, buy a property, you'll learn 10 times more actually on the property. Yep. And that is true. I'm sure we can all attest to that. Because you hear all these things about all these different cash on cash returns, all these things you can do. I bought the duplex, and immediately I had a third-party manager, and it was just all out of whack. Learned a lot of lessons right there.
So you bought that, you bought a couple more, and so you enjoyed doing it, but like what kind of, I guess, transitioned you from the multifamily? At what point did you go like, golf course? How did that run?
Honestly, it was a big mental shift of, I want to get out of my W-2. And you hear guys online say within 5 years they scaled up, they have all this cash flow, and they can do it full time. So I bought a duplex, cash flow was there. I then bought a 5-unit. I used credit cards and lines of credit, and I really tried to make that thing work. And, of course, having all the extra debt, I was paying that down now. And after a few years of all that, I was like, I'm not really seeing the cash flow. Because all of a sudden one thing breaks, a tenant's overheated upstairs, like everything's happening, and I'm like, where's the money going? And I was talking to somebody in a mastermind that I'm a part of, and she was like, why not buy a golf course now? Because I love golf. And I said, someday when I'm 80 and I have all this money set aside, I'll buy a golf course. She's like, if you underwrite it and it makes sense, why not buy it? And I left that phone call, and I was like, I can't stop thinking about that now because I love golf. Why not? So
that's awesome. So run me through, like, is a golf course just like a normal business? And I mean, I remember when I saw your post that you were doing this, I was like, how the fuck do you buy a golf course? Like, what does that entail? So is it just like a normal business? What does it look like?
Yeah, so a golf course, unlike a hair salon or a basic business, there's a lot of real estate to it. So we'll get there probably in a second, but the lending side is a lot more complex, having land and a business. But yeah, I mean, it's just a business. As long as you have an income coming in, you have your expenses, you're managing it. The big key factor is keeping a healthy cash flow, because you need money to put back into the business. And payroll is a whole new thing that I never learned until this. But yeah, this is my first actual business. It's not like a real estate business. It's very much hands-on every day. People calling you with questions, and you have to have the answer. You can't just be, I don't know. What do we
awesome.
do? So,
do you still own your rentals?
I have an 8-unit joint venture that I'm in.
So you sold your other stuff.
So the ones that I did solo, it was just a lot of headaches, and I think I bought right, but my underwriting was very back of the napkin. I thought I was doing it okay. And then when I joined the mastermind, getting around the right people, they were thinking bigger. And they're like, so after a year of doing that with them, they're like, I have a joint venture, why don't you do this? It's local. So I sold the duplex again to that one, and then the 5-unit got me into the golf course.
Love it. Yeah. So I heard earlier when you were chatting, I don't know if it was me or somebody else, but you said you found it took 2 years to buy it, right?
Oh yeah.
So walk me through the buying thing, and I want the details.
Yeah, okay.
I know people get scared by like, what am I getting into? But tell us like the good, the bad, the ugly.
Well, first off, I think I approached Cipriano first, and I was like, Cip, I'm buying a golf course. And he thought I was crazy because it was downpouring snow in northeast PA. We just met really. And so after I had that conversation about you could do it, I went on LoopNet. I found a golf course nearby, called up the owner, called up the broker. I'm like, I want it. Really didn't have much stuff into it, just I want to buy it, let's make it happen. So I got under contract by, I think it was Christmas of 2023, I think it was.
Was there negotiating, or was it kind of like, here's the price, and you're like, cool.
So my thesis was, how many people are buying golf courses and a 9-holer? So I was just like, you want this? I'll give you the full asking price. Seemed to make sense. I just thought, why not? I figure you can underwrite on the go. And the thing that I found out was there's third-party managers that actually manage golf courses. I never knew that until I started talking to like people. So I talked to the guy. I'm like, how do I do the due diligence? How do I really dive in deep with this to figure out what's it worth? And he gave me a laundry list of things. And I remember at one point I'm thinking like, I think I'm running out of time to do all of these things before closing. And the thing where they say if you have a good deal, people will come. That's only true if you know people and you're not pulling out of the blue, hey, I'm buying a golf course. So I was banking on some people to help me out with this, and they were like gun-ho, super excited about it. But as we got closer, they weren't like, yeah, here's the check, where do we wire the money? It's more like, I want to dig in more with these numbers. I'm like, well, this is what I've got. Like, there's no other numbers. Like, what else do you want me to like show you? And we were pretty like close, so it's kind of like, maybe you'll learn with me. I'm newer, but I'm a trustworthy guy, hopefully with you guys. And it got to the point where we were pulling every lever trying to make the finance work. We tried seller finance, we tried SBA, but I was too late in the game for that.
The seller didn't want to do seller fi, or? He
really wasn't interested in that. He wanted me to try a loan first. I tried a bank, but banks want like 40% down, which is impossible. I tried doing a lease purchase option, like let me lease the business for the year, learn it, and then have the option to buy it in the fall. He didn't want that. So there's a lot of things we're trying. There's a few other things we're trying, like buy the real estate, lease the business, buy the business, lease the land. Like we tried different ways to separate out the land. Because the business itself is worth a lot less than what the land is. So I was like, I've got 100 acres of land and a small business in a sense. If I chop off the land and get the business first, but I want to buy that land.
Right.
And the due diligence, the date was coming. I'm like, I can't close on this. I think I want to back out, guys, but I want to come back to this. So then, again, it's a long story. So then,
take your time.
Once that happened, I remember.
You did back out?
I backed out. Yeah,
okay.
I backed out. I think that was in the early spring of 2024, because then we got into business acquisitions a little bit. Like I was learning about how to underwrite a business, what they're valued at. And I called up the same person who told me about, like, why not buy a golf course? I called her up and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna buy a plumbing business. Like, it has a great cash flow. I'll use the cash flow to put back into real estate. And she's like, that's awesome, but I think the golf course is where you need to be. I'm like, crap, you're not wrong. So with all this new mindset knowledge, I went back to the owner again. I said, look, I want your golf course. Like I really want this golf course. Like I want to have my kids growing up on this thing. Like, can we make this thing happen? And because he knew how I struggled the first time, he connected me with his lending consultant. There's guys out there who actually full-time specialize in finding you lending options and helping with the SBA, your business plan. So he helped me out. He helped me out with the insurance, with the SBA, with the business plan. And I was actually, if I sold the 5-unit, I was going to have enough cash alone to buy this thing. So I wasn't really looking for investors this time. I was very confident, I'm buying it, this is the date, it's happening. So I think that confidence, I guess, came off a bit, and people were like, either Ryan's crazy, he's talking about this golf course for a couple years now, or there's something to this. So I was talking with Cipriano the one day, and he was like, dude, I want in. I was like, all right, sure. So he was the first guy in. And then, again, I wasn't looking for partners, but a month or so later, I was on a Zoom call, the other partner was on there, and I texted him, hey man, long time no see. He's like, hey, let's get on a phone call. Got on a phone call, he's like, I want in. I'm like, all right, sure.
Awesome.
So it's funny because people are like, how'd you raise the money? I'm like, I really didn't raise the money. I just kind of did my thing and people were calling me, which is probably mostly luck, to be honest. Somewhat luck, somewhat negotiations, long-term, talking with them.
I don't know, I disagree though. I would say you worked your ass off and you probably turned over every stone, and then eventually you had that passion and somebody recognized it.
I think that's where, I was saying earlier, I networked for multiple years at this point. I was always nice. I always did what I said I was going to do. I think they know, like, and trust me after a while. So when I had this deal and I was like, here are my numbers, here's my lender, here's my consultant, here's this, here's that, they're like, okay, there's more this year than last year. I think we should probably try it. So I had my two other guys, and then it was about, well, do you want me to go into the different loans we had, or go into the disasters first?
I kind of want to go into disasters, but wait, let me ask. You said
Sure.
you had enough by selling the 5 unit to buy this.
Yeah.
So why partner?
So I thought, why not, like, instead of being pinched, like, what if something pops up? Like, I want to have other people helping me out.
Okay.
And
Makes
I'm
sense.
so thankful I did, because we'll here in a second. There was things that popped up.
Love it.
But yeah, I just thought it's a team effort. I did my 2 deals solo. I hated being alone in it. Like, there's no accountability. And I said, I want to have partners that I can go out golfing with and have fun with, and be like, dude, like, what can we do here and there? Like, let's just do it together. So I was all for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me about these disasters, because anyone that's done deals knows very well that the closing date and the finish line is just never smooth.
So let me first say, I was 3 days before closing, and I was $300,000 short. Now let me backstep. Because we'll go into lending here in a bit. There's 3 loan types, and there's a lot of details here we can go into if you want to, but the bank lends a portion, and then SBA lends the rest of it, and you come in with a little small sliver.
Are you comfortable giving us the details?
Yeah.
You don't have to give everything, but like, what'd you buy it for?
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking for financing? What kind of percentage? Because that helps map it out.
Sure. So it was a $1.5 million purchase price, 100 acres with a business that was making like $400,000 gross in like revenue. So and there's about 10 employees there currently. So it was a well-run machine, around since 1969.
Wow.
So it was a well-established business. I wasn't looking into buying a startup kind of thing. I wanted to get one that's already proven. And so I bought it for that. The bank was going to lend, I forget how much it was, but my down payment was 15%.
Okay.
So usually SBA is a 10% down, but being that it was such an unknown with the extra land, they're like, let's do 15 down. So between the bank and the SBA products, they did all that, I did 15.
Gotcha.
So I think our closing amount was just over 200,000. It was like
It was a little more than that.
maybe 260 eventually, or
because of that
270.
last minute hiccup.
Yeah, there's a couple of hiccups that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was like so I'm gonna just round up 275
Yeah, 75 was
to buy a $1.5 million golf course that you can have fun on, play, and it. In my mind, I love multifamily, but it beats the just collect rent checks, fix a water heater. It's why not go out play golf after work? Why not? Like, I literally every day, once in a while, will go around, just drive around the golf course, checking out the golf greens, making sure things look correct.
That's awesome.
So my bunker can go there, bunker can go there. It's just a total ballpark, like a lot of fun. So yeah, there's the bank, and then there's the SBA. Do you want me to dive into those a little bit more?
So to somebody who doesn't know, like, how do they work together? How do they not?
Yeah. So a bank is not comfortable lending all of it, but the government wants to see small businesses grow. So there's a Small Business Association, SBA. They're willing to lend to these businesses if there's enough enough proof that you can run the business, enough cash flow. They're willing to bet on you and give you money. So they're saying, hey bank, if you lend on this deal, we'll supplement the rest of it, and that way the owner, who's usually a small business owner, can afford to start a business.
So let's just say for fun, banks would say, hey, 75%, we'll give 75.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say you're like, okay, I don't have 25. The SBA will be like, hey, we'll give another 10. So we'll finance 10 more, and you're like, okay, I only need to come up with 15 or whatever.
15, but usually 10. So yeah, so like,
Cool. Okay.
yeah, so really a bank will lend whatever, SBA will lend the rest,
Got
and then
it.
you just pay like 10.
Okay.
So it really is a good way of getting into a big project. Like, 'cause you can use SBA, I'm assuming, for like an apartment complex.
And I'm sorry, I just want to interrupt.
Please.
What the SBA does is they guarantee 75% of the loan. So they don't really loan anything, but they guarantee it to the bank.
Yeah.
So they're very comfortable.
That's a good thing.
Got it.
Yeah. So banks feel more comfortable if they back that up and there's a heavy due diligence period with the SBA. Like they want into everything. Like literally, if you add your middle initial on your signing papers at closing, they'll throw it out and say we have to redo this closing because your name's Ryan Potuck, but you signed Ryan M. Potuck. Or if you're Ryan M. on this contract, but then you sign Ryan Potuck, that's not the same person. It's
I'm not
not.
gonna say your name wrong this whole time.
Probably.
Damn it, Ryan.
Hey, everybody says Ryan Potluck or Ryan
I'm
Potuck.
so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Sorry, continue. So
SBA is very finicky on everything. So literally every form I look at, everybody will be like, Ryan M. or Ryan Potuck? Ryan M. All right, next form. Same thing. It was a 2-hour closing because I'm just signing stacks of paperwork. Like it was just, you have to do every SBA loan's like a couple inches thick of like paperwork. They sign away your life to everything, but it's a lot.
So you were saying a couple days before closing, though, there were some hiccups, and you were mentioning that too. What did they look like?
So can I go into the loan types real quick?
Please.
Because it kind of gives a little bit more explanation. So you have the bank loan, first position. There's 2 different SBA loans. So because there's a heavy land play, there's SBA 504, which is more land-based. Then there's the SBA 7A, which is like a business, like a hair salon and all that. So we're like, how do we split this apart to get the best favorable terms? SBA 504, because it's land, they will amortize it, 20 years? 25 years, and interest rates are a lot more favorable. A 7A is a 10-year loan, I think, at a higher interest rate, I believe. So the goal of my lending consultants, like, we have to put as much as the appraised value under the 504 as possible, so that way you have better terms blended with everything. So we got our appraisal back. They whatever the land appraised for, they put the 504 for that. Whatever was left was the 7A, with the bank. So just to recap, bank 504 7A. There's one more complexity in there I don't want to say because I might get a little too complex. there was a 4th part in there that was part of the bank, but that's the main structure there. So 3 days before closing, the 7A goofed or something and didn't include something with the underwriting. So they're like, oh, we're not going to lend you the $300,000 because they're like $250. They're like, no, it's $300, and here's why. Like, oh, well, it's going to take us 5 business days to re-underwrite this. This was Wednesday. We're closing Saturday morning. I think was it Saturday morning? I think it was Saturday. No, it was Friday. It was Friday. So it was like 5 business days. We'll be way past closing next week, and the seller was not going to move it. Golf season's coming in. Like, there's no way this is being moved. I called up my friend again, the same person who's been helping me out, not to raise money or anything, but I was like, hey, this sucks, like, we're 300 short, like, I guess we're done. I don't really know what to do, it really sucks. And she was like, I have the money, I can lend you the money. And I was like, okay. like, what do you mean?
Ryan, it wasn't that easy. Ryan had been networking with this
for years.
For over 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And he'd been keeping her in constant contact.
Every week.
And informing her.
Yeah, so it's a good point. A good networking tip, and it's funny because people are asking me, how do I repeat your process networking? I'm like, well, it's not really a process. You just be a person and talk to somebody. So like every week I'd be like, hey, guess what? I just learned this. It was so cool. And she was like, oh, that's awesome. And then a week later, hey, I just found out this. And we talked for like a half hour long. So we were really close friends through this process because she's been helping me. So when it came down to 3 days short, she was like, look, I have a line of credit. I want to privately lend more. Like, I feel safe doing this because I trust you. Wow. Not really the deal, kind of, but I trust you. So I got her on the phone with a lending consultant with the bank, and they explained to her the different loans, like what's the backups. If the 7A, hypothetically, if the 7A never came through, because at the same time that like Doge thing was happening, if the 7A never happened, what's her backup plan? Well, there's, I guess, 4th or 5th option now in the background. There's a Bob loan, which apparently the government wants to reinvest in their businesses. So they have millions on the side to give into businesses, 0% down, like super low interest rates to really give their businesses a boost.
Wow.
No one ever teaches this. It's not out there. It's not common knowledge apparently. But I learned about this, and that was in the background of if 7A doesn't come in, this is going to come in and be your 3rd loan. Yeah. So she had the 7A and the Bob loan as backup plans. So she lent to me, and so then we were 30 minutes before closing, hiccup number 2 happened. I got the HUD documents, which is the documents with all the information on it. 30 minutes before closing. I'm driving to the closing table. I open it up just to see. And I'm like, our estimated cash to close is off by like 50K or like 70K. I call up the guy, I call up the lending guy, and I was like, dude, I don't have 70K. I literally am stretched here. He's like, can your partners find it? Like, is there any way you can like come up with that?
What
I'm like,
was the 70K mishap though?
just closing costs, things that the attorney should have thrown in there, but like, I don't know. It was just, it wasn't the down payment or any of that. So I'm stressed out going to the closing table. I called up Sip and the other guy, Joseph, and I said, guys, is there any way we can like split this? Like, I don't have the cash. Thankfully, Sip and Joseph saved me. So I drove to the table. So it wasn't like a blast up the Nickelback, jamming out, driving out to the closing table. It was a dead silent drive to the closing table. Like, I feel like crap.
Shit.
I get there and the guy's like, I'm so happy you have deep pocket friends. I'm like, yeah, me too, because this is horrible. But here's the sketchy part. Well, not sketchy, but another heart-dropping, like, scary part. We had to close because it was going to the weekend. I had to write checks for that amount of money from the business account that didn't have the money, and we had to tell the realtors and the people involved, you're not allowed to deposit your checks until Tuesday because it's the weekend and stuff. Everyone was in agreement. So I had the weekend for these guys to wire money, and if that didn't happen, like, do I get the keys back? Like, what happens if you don't get the money by Tuesday? So we finally closed, and Cipriano's on the phone, like, how's it feel? And I'm like, I don't know, to be honest. I don't feel like I won anything. I feel like I'm on the hook for a lot. And that was the whole lending thing. There's more to it, but that was the lending. It was, everything happened. That's
crazy. Okay, so let's take it on a positive note. So now after all that, you own this and you've been in it for a while. So what's it like now? Are you loving it? Is it working?
Oh, yeah.
Is the business growing? Tell us some of that.
It is not work. I go there every day, super happy. I'm filling up the carts with gas. Even though I'm the boss, I shouldn't be filling up the gas carts. I'm not
Can you tell he likes golf?
Yeah. I think I remember it was like the first week I called up Sip like on hole one, like, yeah, I'm out there walking hole one playing golf. And he's like, oh, it's a really tough day in the office. I'm like, I gotta try out the golf course, make sure things are working properly.
That's great.
So it is true, you don't play as much golf when you own a golf course. Though having kids before, during this, I didn't play much golf the previous couple of years, so it didn't really change much. But no, it's great. It's fun. Things are going well. A lot of learning lessons, things that I never knew. Payroll was one that I had no idea about. That was an intimidating time, but you learn on the fly.
That's awesome. So when you're looking at like the golf course, obviously everyone here's an investor. How much does like the land factor into that? Like, are you kind of counting on the land to appreciate, and does that help, or is that kind of just like bonus on top?
The land is a big part of it. The business cash flow has to afford the debt. So that's the part. You can't just buy a golf course that's weak on cash flow, saying it's a well-established business, will work out. If the land is worth so much, but the business cash flow is so little, the bank's still going to lend based on the debt service cover ratio of that business.
Right.
So that's where you have to find seller finance or some kind of third party to help you finance more of it. So the debt service cover ratio was definitely tricky with this. Like, it was doing well, but like any more of a purchase price, it would have been really tight. It would have been rough. But
gotcha. So you kind of touched on with DSCR, but are there other metrics, whether it's your business or other businesses that you're familiar with that have like basic things that you're looking at to evaluate me? If someone here is like, wow, sounds great, maybe I should buy a business, or I like that idea, like, how are you evaluating this?
So just like cap rates, there are multiples for a business. Every business, every location, there's different averages, and there's websites for that. So I forget what the golf course is. Do you remember what the golf course multiple was?
Dude, no, I
want to say it was like a 3 or a 4.
3 something,
Yeah, a 3 or 4, somewhere in there. But on top of that, there's also the cap rate side too. So I was told golf courses could be usually around like a 9 cap, a 10 cap. Usually want to buy it around 10 or 11 cap, ideally. But that's kind of what they run for.
Same cap idea as real estate or multi.
It's same, but it's like same as like real estate. But as long as the debt service is covered, enough cash flow, like that's the main metric. So it's like, again, I'm still new to this. I'm learning. There's a lot of things to it. But it's like, as long as the income's there, you're watching your cash flow, don't overspend on it. That's like the big thing with it.
I love it. You're part of the mastermind, and you mentioned it a couple times, and obviously you've gotten benefit from that, and you're here at this meetup. We've met through random things like that. So I guess just talk to us about like whether it's a mastermind or meetups, like the value found in that. Obviously everyone's here because they believe in that to some degree, but
It is tremendous. I mean, as you guys all know, they say you're the average of the 5 people around you, or whatever the saying is. It's definitely true. For example, when I first joined the mastermind, before it officially started, they were having a Cincinnati meetup, and I'm like, I want to drive 9 hours out there to prove to these guys, like, I'm going to take everything. I'm going to be great at this. Like, I'm not just going to sit back and relax. I get out there, and my whole group's there. People flown from California, some flown from like Florida, some flown from like Canada. I'm thinking, so I'm not unique. I'm like the average. I was like, okay, this is weird, because until then, my family members thought I was crazy doing real estate. No one else was doing it. They thought I was like, oh, you should just have fun, relax, enjoy your job. Like, there was no one motivating me. And then once you join this, it's like everyone else was like, go, go, go. I've got this many properties. I have this. There's never a dull moment. And whenever you talk to these people, they're like pushing you. So it's hard to not keep going and feel motivated when you're around the right people.
I love that. It's absolutely so good. And one other thing I just wanted to say earlier, and I totally forgot until now before we get into the last section, is I love that, like, you kept going and you didn't stop. And I just think that's a huge thing. Every person that sits in the seat that you're in, that is successful, that has done the thing that they're trying to do, has a point where they could or maybe should turn around. I shouldn't say should, but they don't, right? And you didn't. You faced those challenges. You even had that back out point, and yet you're still like, you know what? No, let's keep going. And I just love that. It's such a cool story. So
I think it's something where, like, and going back to one of your earlier questions about why the golf course out of the blue, I'm an overthinker. I think we all can be that way if we're entrepreneurs. We always think big and all that. But I always think, what's my ultimate goal in life? Like, what do I want out of it? Like, I could clock in, clock out, and be happy, kinda. But it's like, what's the point? And I always think about that. And that's when real estate for me got bogged down by a lot of things that I own personally. Not the Apex is doing great, but things that I bought personally was just dragging me down. I'm like, well, if I had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, what would I be doing? I'd be golfing. Like, I love golf. I want to golf more. I want to be the old man behind the bar there, hanging out with the guys, talking about golf. And so that's when it really clicked. Like, well, why not? Why am I waiting 30 years to buy that? Why not take my end goal, bring it here, and say the who not how principle? Like, who do I know doing it? Who could help me do it? Who's that first person? And and once I achieved this goal, it made me think of a much bigger goal. And it's like, what else can you do? Like, anything is possible with the right connections, the right socialization. Like, just aim big, and you may not get fully there, but you'll get you way further along than where you could be if you do nothing. So
awesome. All right, I got a couple questions. I ask these to every person, and you kind of answer the first one, but I'll ask you it anyways. What separates top performing investors, business owners, however you want to phrase that, but separates those top performing people from everybody else?
I think just having a bigger why, a bigger purpose, and pushing for something. Like, if you're just like, I have it, this is great, I'm just going to keep buying stuff, but really have no direction, what's going to stop you from investing with somebody, then all of a sudden they derail and do something else? And like, you want that person to love what they're doing and be motivated. So I think just having a clear picture and excitement for what you're doing and a strong why.
So good. What is a daily habit that contributes to your success?
I would say, honestly, like, being really cognizant of what I'm doing. Like, I'm messy throughout the day, but I'm very cognizant of, I'll get 5 hours a night of sleep. It sucks. I like to sleep, but like, that's the minimum I can do and still do it. So I'll get up early just so that way I can have enough TV time to watch while I'm having breakfast. That gets me to work early to flex some hours. So that way when I'm not so focused during the day for the golf course, it all works out. But then also not going too far down the rabbit hole of too much work and not enough time with the family. So I'm constantly tweaking my schedule, making these lists of how can I optimize this and that. Not as nerdy as it sounds, but internally I'm just doing that. Maybe it's the engineering mind that I've got.
So good. Who knows? What is a piece of advice that you give to yourself if you were starting over?
If I'm starting over, I would say, I like the fact I jumped into it, but I would tell myself, don't stress out about not being there like now. Just make connections, think big, have a goal, and work towards it, and just keep pushing. Like, it's gonna happen. Don't jump into a deal that's not the best. Like, it's good to get started, but like, I think it would mean more if you just got going in a group of people who are really motivated.
I like that. What is your favorite real estate or business book?
So this is tough. I want to say that, like, a mental, I'll call it more of a business book, is that Who Not How by Dan Sullivan.
So good.
Because that's something that really frames your work of, like if you say, I don't know how to do something, your brain locks up, you get stressed out of all the unknowns. But if you say, well, who do I know who's doing it? Well, that's easy. Just find a person who's doing it and talk to them. So that really was a big shift. I'd say that's applies to business and real estate. I like that one.
Definitely great. All right, last question. What is your favorite part of, let's say, owning your business?
I think just having control of it. Like it's so much different than other investments where if you want to have a wing night, okay, well then how do you do it? We made that about 3 weeks ago. So we thought of all the ins and outs, what would the prices be, like what are the advertisements. If I want to put the pedal down and make more advertisements, make more media, social media, I can just go out and do it. If I want to we're trying to get a comedian night going, so working towards that.
That's awesome.
Like anything you could think of, you could do it. And it's like, okay, well, where are there any guide rails? Not really. Just have at it, have fun, but put the pedal down, but in a safe way. But just the opportunity and just creating things.
Sounds so enticing.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
I love that. Well, thank you for driving here and being here. I know you came a long way, so let's give Ryan a round of applause. So thank you. All right, so since we got a small group, I'm